2 million years into the past, the Demon King killed the gods and destroyed the sacred scrolls, before allowing a useless hero to end his miserable life, separating the 4 realms of the universe during his death. When he was reborn, however, he told his parents that his name was Anos, and grew up to be a man within a week, but never realized that his existence was erased from history, and that their entire world was fabricated. On the day of the entrance exams, some worthless girl was walking to the arena, before an ugly loser bumped into her, causing her to drop the letter she was holding. In that moment, a hot, sexy, handsome man picked it up for her, seeing that her name was Misha, and that her father was even more useless than his own family. As they began walking away, a useless lackey called him a virgin simp for helping the girl. But Anos walked past him as if he didn't exist. However, Zapes summoned his flame and screamed at him to respond. But with a slight sigh, Anos blew out his flames. With just the power of his words, he forced the moron to freeze in his spot, and mentally tortured his ass while he was in timeout. Inside the building, the first phase of the final exams was a duel between the applicants. So when Anos' turn arrived, he saw that his opponent was the ugly, worthless loser he clapped. However, his anti-demonic armor blocked Anos' speech ability from activating this time, and went on to summon one of the 7 legendary swords to amplify his magical capacity. As soon as the match started, Zapes rushed towards Anos, but with a single sigh, the flames were extinguished once again. So to make him feel better about his depressing life, Anos promised to not make a single move for the rest of the match. And when Zapes thought he was making excuses for how weak he was, all of his organs exploded, and Anos revealed that this was the power of his heartbeat. The vibration waves began crushing the man's insides, but rather than surrendering, Zapes continued calling Anos an ugly, worthless simp. However, Anos shut his mouth with his shoe, and after a single snap of his finger, Zapes was completely obliterated. But since Anos couldn't finish his sentence, he decided to bring Zapes back from the dead, asking him if he was ready to give up after dying. The moron refused to give up, so Anos killed him once again and revived him. But when Zapes said he was from a royal bloodline, Anos began killing him hundreds of times per second, telling him they could do this for thousands of years. But before he would snap his fingers once more, Zapes bowed down to Anos, admitting that he was defeated. For the third phase of the exam, they began the knowledge assessment, and the first question was regarding the identity of the founding Demon King. So without hesitation, Anos answered that he was the founder. When the day was over, Misha had been waiting outside for Anos to finish, so being the gigachat he is, Anos invited her to stay the night in his room, and asked for her hand. As she grabbed onto him, Anos activated his teleportation magic, one of the lost forbidden spells known to mankind. While eating dinner, his mother was worried she would steal her boy away, so she asked her what she liked most about her son. Hesitating for a moment, Misha told her that she liked his big heart. She loves his big heart. His mom was glad that her son found a sweet wife and went to make them their wedding cake. As they walked home later on, Misha revealed that she hadn't seen her parents since she was born, and that the man from earlier wasn't her father. But in that moment, a magical barrier was cast, and a coliseum appeared to seal them inside. From the shadows, a man appeared, introducing himself as the demon lord Liug Indu, saying he was the brother of Zapes. However, Indu lifted him up, telling him that their family has no use for such weaklings, and electrocuted him to a crisp, saying that Anos was going to be next for disrespecting the Demon King's pure bloods. However, Anos revealed that he never cared for bloodlines, and as they summoned their magical sigils to attack him, Anos began breaking the laws of magic itself, destroying the magical sigils. All of them began exploding, and when the dust settled, the noble decided to cast his ultimate ability, the Forbidden Origin magic, passed down only through the royal family. But as he casted it towards Anos, a red beacon exploded towards the sky, and when the dust settled, Anos was unscratched. After all, Anos revealed that Origin magic was the act of borrowing powers from the Demon King, so it wouldn't be able to affect the Origin itself. Even with all his disrespect, he decided to give him one last chance, and resurrected his brother as a zombie. With his soul gone, he was able to completely wipe out his brother's magic. As the zombie continued getting closer, Anos told him that his only chance of saving himself was to remember the times he spent with his brother and to care for him even in his hardest times. When the man refused, Anos commanded him to call out his brother's name, and as their memories flashed in his head, the field exploded from Zapes' magic powers, and Anos thought it was a shame how weak familial bonds had become. With the entire Colosseum collapsing, Anos casted a protective barrier onto the two corpses, along with Misha, before the entire field was blown away. As Misha looked at Anos, he was disappointed by how worthless his descendants had become. So Anos decided to reveal the truth, telling them that he was the true demon king of tyranny. Back in the mythical age, the hero of the world had arrived to challenge the demon king. But Anos revealed that killing demons wouldn't bring an end to their war. However, to give peace a chance, Anos offered to sacrifice all of his magical energy and life to create a barrier between the four dimensions, saying he was also tired of this tragedy. So the hero decided to trust him and thanked him for his kindness. After that moment, Anos began the ritual, and with the hero stabbing him in the heart, Anos wished that in their next life, they could become friends. As the expansion of the magical energy exploded outwards, the barriers between the realms were created, and a few moments later, Anos had awakened to his new parents. During his first day in school, Misha told him that he was the only one who failed the knowledge exam. But when he wondered how that was possible, he decided to investigate her memories, realizing that the Demon King's name had actually been changed to Avos Delhevia. And when the class began, the teacher showed them the basis of all magical sigils, but Anos told her that she was completely wrong. So as he walked down to show her the truth, she threatened to expel him if he was wasting her time. With a single change to the magical flow, Anos doubled the output of magical effects and walked back to his seat, shocking everyone. After taking his seat, the teacher announced that there will be a group duel in the upcoming weeks, so those who wanted to become group leaders must introduce themselves. A hot blonde girl was the first one up, saying her name was Sasha, and Misha told him that she was her sister, the one that got to actually live with her parents. After hearing those words, Anos introduced himself as the other leader, saying he was the true demon king of tyranny. A few moments later, everyone had chosen to become part of Sasha's team. However, Sasha came up to Anos, telling him that even though he managed to get a teammate, she was nothing but a worthless piece of garbage, and that she didn't even have her own soul, but was just a doll controlled by magic. To those words, Anos called her a moron who doesn't understand the flow of magic, so Sasha promised to pay him back for his insolence. As she stepped back, her magic eye of destruction activated, but it had no effect on Anos, so he decided to stand up with his own eye of destruction, warning her to know her place. Once classes were over, Sasha appeared before them, saying she wanted to place a condition on their upcoming match. If he were to win, she would join his team, but if he were to lose, Anos would become her lifelong slave and obey all of her commands. So knowing that he'd win anyway, Anos agreed. A week later, Anos faced off against Sasha in the forest, and they created a Zect pact to seal the conditions of their duel. As soon as the agreement was sealed, a bird announced the start of the exam. In an instant, Sasha's team built a Jais for their protection, but Misha wondered what would be their plan. Anos told her that he has no intentions of hiding, so she built 3 castles with her Jais spell to create a distraction. Inside Sasha's castle, as she tried commanding her men into their territory, they realized that Anos was approaching their Jais. Just then, he called them all weak, filthy cowards, and they wondered how he could hear their voices, so he told them that their encryption spell was easier to break than their moms' backs at night. As he held the castle, he lifted the entire fucking thing with a single hand and tossed the castle towards the sky before catching it. As he spun the castle, he threw it far off in the distance, sending it crashing into the ground, and the students were battered from the accident. Even so, Sasha suggested a new attack, a Geo-Graze spell powerful enough to destroy any monster. Before his eyes, they summoned a powerful weapon using a combined spell and fired a Geo-Graze. Anos thought they deserved a reward for their effort, and fired a tiny flame that destroyed the Graze and began flying towards their castle. Afraid they would all be isekai'd, they cast several shields to stop it, but the flame destroyed them all, and crashed into the castle, burning it all instantly. Just then, Anos appeared before Sasha, and she wondered how he managed to launch a similar attack all on his own. He revealed that it wasn't even a Geo-Graze spell, but was actually an even greater magic spell. However, none of this mattered to him, and he reminded her about their agreement, saying that she must now become his slave, and do anything he asks of her. She tried saying that she would rather hug the ground, and as Misha tried helping her, she told her to get lost, but reluctantly agreed to obey his commands. When she wondered why Anos was willing to have her in his team, he told her that her eyes are beautiful, and that they radiate one of the most elegant forms of magic he'd ever seen. Later that day, when he invited the sisters for dinner, his mother was delighted that he had brought home a second wife, and his father was proud that he was raising a great Muslim man. That night, when they arrived at their home, Sasha decided to speak with Anos alone, and thanked him for helping them become sisters again. Deciding to ask him a question, she wondered what he would do if his fate was being controlled by someone, so he told her that he would annihilate anyone daring to stand in his way.
こっちへ来てくれるかしら。
何をするつもりなの?
Sasha pulled away, saying she just kissed him as a friend and not because she likes him or anything like that. Baka.
So you're a liar.
However, she was worried that Kiss would make her pregnant, so Anos vanished before she would drag him into paying child support. The following day at school, Misha told Anos that Sasha's birthday was the next day, and wondered what she could offer her as a gift. At that moment, Sasha arrived, taking a seat at their table, and telling Anos that her former teammates intend to join his team. But he told her that he has no interest in her band of losers. Before long, the teacher began telling them that the Demon King of Tyranny was expected to reincarnate soon, and that in anticipation of his rebirth, one of the 7 elder demon emperors would be revealing some special magic to them. Just then, Ibis Necron entered the room, and Anos called him out by his name, asking him if he remembers his master, but the teacher promised to expel him immediately. However, the elder decided to pardon him, and wondered how they met. Wondering how his memories were manipulated, Anos decided to force him to remember, but after looking through his memories, he released him and commanded him to begin his lecture. Later after class, Anos told the Elder Lord that he went into his lost memories from 2,000 years ago, but discovered that he truly believes the Demon King was Avos Dilhevia. He thought that someone must have rewritten the past after his death and had taken all his glory for himself, even erasing their memories of him. However, he thought Anos looked familiar, but said that he would rather stay away until they were certain that he was truly the Demon King, and soon began to leave. Before long, Anos rejoined Misha and spotted her with the same letter he found on the day of the entrance exam. She told him that it was from her guardian. Just then, they noticed Sasha with her former teammates, who were trying to win her back to the team. When their efforts were useless, they wondered why she was hanging out with the 2 misfits of the school, but she grew angry, and her demonic eyes split the ground, telling them to get their horrible faces out of her sight. The next day, the teacher began telling the students that each group must collect magical tools in their dungeon exam, and that the leader would claim the item for his team. As the exam began, all the students hurried into the dungeon, but Sasha wondered why Anos was waiting behind. He told her that the best way to win the exam was to acquire the scepter on the lowest level of the dungeon, and that even the teachers thought the scepter was only a story that never even existed. However, Anos was certain that he would find it. After all, he told them that this was his castle. As they walked down the dungeon, Anos told Misha that they would find a great present for Sasha's birthday inside the treasure room. However, when he discovered that today was also Misha's birthday, he realized that they were actually twins. Before long, they arrived at a wall and thought that it was a dead end, but Anos told them that it was actually a secret passageway. Sasha tried using her demonic eyes to see inside, but realized that she couldn't see anything, so Anos broke through the wall, revealing the secret passage. When they arrived inside an inner room, Anos revealed that he had kept it a secret domain for activating natural magic circles, but noticed that it looks different from how he left it, and wondered who manipulated it while he was gone. Eventually, they appeared before the great door leading to the scepter, and Misha realized that it has anti-magic protection, but Anos merely pushed it open. After spotting the scepter, Anos invited Misha into a private room and told her to pick out a gift for Sasha, so she chose a phoenix robe and thought it would be the best gift for her twin. A few moments later, they rejoined Sasha, and Misha gave her the gift she found, wishing a happy birthday to her only twin sister. Realizing how kind her sister was, Sasha promised to treasure it forever and screamed at Anos to give her some privacy so she could put it on. However, when he returned, he realized that Sasha had killed Misha. Just then, she began calling him a disgusting loser who was brainwashed with a kiss. However, Anos thought she was only putting up a show and had intentionally grazed Misha's heart with the edge of the knife. Determined to prove him wrong, Sasha revoked their agreement with a new spell, and Anos wondered how she managed to break one of the strongest demonic pacts. She went on to say that Misha was born to be nothing but her worthless slave, and in that instant, she cast a conditioning spell onto Misha, threatening to end her life if Anos tried to capture her. Thinking her plan was set, she tried activating a flying spell, but Anos caught her and made Misha's injury vanish. With her demon eyes activating every time she was excited, he told her that he had noticed her eyes didn't activate when Misha wished her a happy birthday, until she received the robe, but wondered why her demon eyes did not activate even after betraying her. After all, she should have been excited to finally finish up her plans, but Sasha activated her demon eyes, cracking the walls of the dungeon. However, Anos activated his own eyes to restrain her midair, freezing her on the spot, but Misha told him to allow her to escape. Anos told her to reveal why she had planned all of this, but decided to release her anyway. Misha tried helping her, but she told her to get her ugly ass face away from her sight, calling her a disgusting moron, and immediately flew away. With only the two of them left, Anos told Misha to confess everything about herself, so she began telling him that she would disappear at midnight, as she was merely a copy of Sasha that was never meant to exist in the first place. She said she was created from Sasha through fusion magic, and only had 15 years to live, but was treated like she was invisible throughout her life. However, she was happy that he became her friend, and as she began apologizing for being a useless burden, Anos held her close, saying that he was happy to have known her. He told her to make a wish and promised to grant it, so she wished to one day live happily with her sister. At the same time in the dungeon, the door vanished before Sasha could leave, and at that instant, Anos appeared with Misha, saying that Misha hopes to make peace with her. Misha tried asking if she really hates her, but Sasha decided to challenge Anos to another duel, saying she would only answer Misha's questions if Anos was able to control her magic circles. Just then, Sasha began drawing magic circles, but Anos knew that she had created sigils beyond her level of control, and realized that she had intended on failing their duel. So in an instant, Anos activated the magic and won the duel, so Sasha agreed to talk to her sister. She remembered that when they were little, Misha had always stayed by her side, even when she had no control over her demonic eyes. However, she was abandoned by everyone for being a copy, so to save her from disappearing at the midnight of their 15th birthday, Sasha began researching for magic spells that would make her live forever. As she began casting a spell, she told Misha that her magic circle would switch their fates, but that the only way to activate it was to reject her. She revealed that everything she has done till this very moment was for Misha to hate her and choose to live, so that her plans would work out perfectly, and cast a dealt spell to switch their fates. However, the spell broke and the cover began to vanish. Misha told her that she would never hate her no matter what, and her words made Sasha fall to her knees, disappointed at her how awful she was. She began asking Misha to reject her so that she can rescue her using the spell, but Misha told her that she would continue living inside of her and would never betray her. She told Anos that she was happy to be reunited with her sister and thought that now was the time to enter Nirvana. However, Anos revealed that there was a solution to keep both of them alive. He said that he only needs to change the past, and since they were born as separate demons from two sources, he would fuse the sources and make them one with each other as twins and not as a copy. At that instant, Anos activated the magic, saying that he would send them back in time. However, their only hope of using his powers was to believe that he was truly the demon king of tyranny. Just then, the Elder Lord broke through the ceiling and stabbed Anos' heart. The girls realized that he was the same elder from their class, and the elder began saying that the girls were merely a vessel to reawaken the founder. Anos wondered why he was trying to reawaken him when he was already alive, and blasted him with Geo Graze. The elder wondered how he managed to survive his attack, so Anos told him that he was immortal, and hurled the blade, crushing him into the wall. Deciding to carry on with the spell, he activated Rivide and began transporting the girls through time. Before long, the wall opened, and the Guardian of Time appeared before them, saying that he had come to punish them for disrupting the flow of time. Before their eyes, he pulled the Elder Lord and rewound time, healing his wound like he wasn't just annihilated. So the Guardian granted him all his power, and the Elder returned to life, ready to execute them. Anos cast Geo Graze at him, but he froze them and caused them to explode. As he launched a scythe, it broke Anos' shield, and his second scythe destroyed another shield. Before they knew it, the Emperor broke another cover, stabbing Anos from the back, and he vanished before their eyes. However, Anos appeared before him, and the Emperor wondered how he managed to survive his attack. So Anos revealed that he was the only person that could actually end himself, but the Elder vanished instantly. Deciding to try another attack, he commanded time to freeze, and a mysterious darkness covered them all, freezing the girls instantly. Even so, Anos was invincible, saying that even time can't stop the power of his will. The Elder was determined not to lose, and flew to end him, destroying his barrier and another. As he tried to finish him off, Anos protected himself with new barriers and cast him aside. He told Misha and Sasha that he was willing to make them happy no matter what it takes, and would even unleash his powers to destroy all their enemies because a good husband should protect his wives. And at that instant, the spell broke with a golden light appearing, and Sasha screamed for Anos to change their destiny. Together, they revealed that they believe in his reincarnation, and that he was the true demon king of tyranny. At once, they disappeared into the golden light, along with all their memories. Returning to baby forms, they exchanged sources with each other, perfecting their transition as twins. With the girls secured in the light, Anos told the elder that he was ready for battle. Immediately, a new magic activated, and Anos pulled his sword of destruction, ready to annihilate him. Before the demon could move, Anos stabbed him deep in the face, and he realized that he wasn't healing. So Anos began slaying him with mere gestures, and he exploded at that instant. With peace restored, Anos summoned the elder Ibis back to life, and told him that he has executed the demon and the guardian that took over his body. With a fingertip, Anos restored his memories to him, and told him to spy on the other elders until they discovered who erased their memories. Just then, the golden light vanished, and the girls wondered if the spell was successful. Anos told them that it was, and said that neither of them would disappear at midnight. After arriving outside, Sasha was happy that they were both alive, and apologized to Misha for treating her badly for all these years. But before they left, Anos gifted Misha a lily pad ice ring that could freeze the entire sea in a heartbeat, saying that he found it in the inner room of the dungeon, and thought it would make a perfect birthday gift for her. The following day in class, Sasha began waiting for the teacher to announce their perfect score from the dungeon exam. However, when she arrived, she decided to announce that a transfer student would be joining the class, and called him a master of the magic sword. For the exam, she began saying that Anos' special scepter had gone missing, but the teacher said that because it wasn't appraised before going missing, she would only give their team 70 points. However, Misa thought her actions were cruel, saying that the hybrids and royalty deserved the same treatment, but the teacher told her to shut her ugly ass mouth and threatened to expel her from the school. Just then, Anos appeared before a student, saying he had found the ugly, useless thief. After pulling the scepter out of his chest before giving it to the teacher, he called her a worthless virgin bitch. That was so lonely she had to try and ruin the lives of happy teenagers, because she was miserable her entire life. Damn! After class, Misa decided to thank Anos for revealing the thief, but Sasha told her to get her ugly face away from her man. However, Misa told Anos that she belongs to a group of Unitarians who are hoping to unify the demon race, and wondered if he would be willing to join their group, saying that only the Demon King would be able to make a difference. So later that evening, as soon as the girls saw him, they climaxed from his hot ass face, wondering if his sword would ever penetrate their insides all the way into their spine, and leave them in wheelchairs the next day. The following day at the arena, the students tried pulling magic swords out of the ground, but Sasha realized that the sword was draining her magic powers and was basically hopeless. At that moment, two elder demon emperors appeared before them, and one began saying that only the worthy students who managed to pull out a sword would be allowed to compete in the magic sword tournament. When Sasha asked why Anos had not pulled out a sword, wondering if it was too powerful for him, he forced a sword to begin emanating its overpowered aura, and it flew into his hand instantly. Impressed by the sight, one of the elders suggested taking him on. However, a random dude pulled out another sword, and they realized that he was the transfer student. Deciding to challenge him, the second elder charged at him, but the new guy knocked him down instantly, and Anos knocked out the second elder like a piece of trash. Later in class, the new guy introduced himself as Ray, and asked to join Anos' team. The teacher tried saying that Anos was a misfit, and could not lead a royalty, but Ray thought the school rules were as useless as her dating life.
Emotional damage!
Anos thought those were the words of a wise sage, but turned down his request anyway, and told him to join some other team instead. He told Misa and her squad to join Ray's team in challenging him, saying he would only accept her if they managed to impress him. The next day, as the bird announced the start of their duel, Anos told the girls that he would face off with Ray while they battled the squad. At that moment, Misha summoned a giant ice castle out of the ground, and Sasha wondered how she became so powerful, but Misha thought it was the powers of her ice ring. Before long, Anos appeared before Ray. As they noticed a monster castle in the forest, Anos realized that Ray was supporting his team with his magic powers. Trying to even their fight, Anos decided to take him on with a tree branch. At the same time, Sasha managed to dodge the monster's blade, and using thought communication, Anos told her to work with Misha and destroy the monster with Geo Graze. but she thought they weren't powerful enough. However, Misha decided to activate a siege spell and summoned a hellfire mortar ready to obliterate everything in her path. At the same time, Sasha prepared her own ultimate spell, and as Misha fired hers, it combined with Sasha's spell and launched Geograze, blasting a hole into the monster and sending it crashing. But as she wondered how they became so powerful, Misa struck her from behind. Meanwhile, Anos was clapping Rei's ass,
Pause.
and as he charged with his sword, he missed, but they clashed against one another before he jumped away. On the other side of the field, Sasha was impressed with Misa's stealth and decided to reveal her phoenix robe. Misa thought she could take her down either way, and the monster tried to attack her again. At that instant, Misha appeared for support. As Misa and the monster tried attacking at the same time, the girls cast their fire and ice magic. Combining it into a fusion magic, they unleashed a mighty tornado that blew Misa away and knocked the monster aside, and the girls discovered that they've grown stronger together. Just then, explosions rocked the forest, and they realized that Anos and Rei were about to destroy the entire area. With a single clash, a powerful wind blew to the side, and with another clash, great dust burst across the forest. Anos told him that this was his first time having real sparring since his reincarnation, and as they continued battling it out, Rei thought he was a worthy opponent. As he appeared before Anos, ready to end him, he allowed him to split his branch before revealing that he actually has the upper hand, and he realized that he would be dead if it was a real weapon. So Rei surrendered, but wondered if they had met before and thought he was familiar. Anos told him that he was the Demon King, and welcomed him into his team. At his home that evening, Anos' teenage mother began celebrating his increasing harem, but the girls thought she was a useless ugly creep that should stay far away from their man. The next day at school, the teacher announced that Rei and Anos have been chosen to fight in the Magic Sword Tournament, and told them to prepare their swords before it started. However, when the class was over, Anos told Rei that he thought it was suspicious that the royalty of the academy were drafting him into the tournament list. Just then, Misa arrived, saying that one of the 7 elder emperors was at the Union Tower. Before long, they arrived at the tower, and the elder, Melhaze, told Anos that he has been expecting his reincarnation for 2,000 years. He told him that half of his memories were erased after his death, but his soul never forgot him. Anos thought Avos Delhevia was behind all of this, and wondered who chose him for the tournament. That evening, when Anos arrived home, he discovered that Misha had cooked him dinner like a good wife. So after the meal, he offered to take her out on a date, seeing as she made a better wife than Sasha. And with the girl excited, he told her to choose the place she wishes to go. The following evening, they arrived at a magic model shop for their date, but Anos wondered how this was better than a restaurant. Inside, Anos noticed the model houses and soon discovered that Misha had made them. As she led him into the workshop, she used her ice magic to create a model of their dinner, and Anos was impressed with her work. Deciding to give it a try, he summoned the entire fucking realm. And at the sight of this, the shop owner thought she could sell it for $1 million, but he had no desire to sell it, and told her to get lost. Later that day, as Misha began admiring it like a little treasure, Anos transformed it into a ring, and put it on her, telling her that she can have it forever as he only wishes to have her by his side. As they had lunch in a restaurant, a mysterious cat appeared before Anos, and Misha realized that it was the Elder Lord Ibis. He began telling Anos that Misa's Unitarian group was being controlled by a mysterious man, but even the squad had no idea who he was. So Anos told him to keep an eye out on the tournament, and for every possible trap they could plot. That evening, when Anos and Misha arrived at a hospital, he decided to scan the surroundings. Just then, Rei arrived, wondering why they came. Anos told him that they were sightseeing, but Rei thought it was a dead-ass lie. He told them that his mother was sick and had come to stay by her side. Thinking it was a regular illness, Anos offered to heal her with his magic powers, but Rei told him that she was totally hopeless and thanked him for his offer. A few days later, the Elder Lord began telling Anos that a few of the other demon emperors intend to lure him into a trap during the fight. Anos thought that withdrawing was the right thing to do, and told him that he intends to lure Avos Delhevia out of hiding. Inside the arena, as the bird introduced the defending champion, everyone realized that Anos was a no-show, and thought he was a sore-ass loser for abandoning the fight. Meanwhile, in the tunnel, Anos was waiting for Avos Delhevia to appear in the arena, thinking he could lure him into his own trap. However, having heard enough insults, his mother began screaming that Anos would become the Demon Lord, and would kick all of their asses when he takes his throne. At the same time, his father arrived in the tunnel, saying that he had made him a special magic sword for the duel, and that his victory would prove that even hybrids can become the Demon Lord. Hearing his words, Anos realized that he couldn't chicken out and told Misa that he would smash his way out of every trap. So he headed out and jumped onto the arena floor, impressing all the girls. As he drew his sword, he promised to destroy the man within a second, to prove that he was truly the Demon King of Tyranny. Just then, the man began slashing with all his might, but Anos evaded him and jumped over to the other side. As the man grew angry, he cast Water Fang Demon at him, but he destroyed them with a slash. With a single jab, a flurry of wind began pummeling the champ until it destroyed his sword, and he fell down like a sore loser. Just then, the bird declared Anos the winner, but the teacher grew angry and thought of eliminating him. As Anos sat in the waiting room, Rei came inside and tried to slash him down, but he dug inside his heart. However, they soon separated, and Rei promised to annihilate him in the finals. As he left, Anos told Misa that Rei was wearing a mysterious collar, and said that he was probably making the sacrifice for his sick mother. Later that day, as Anos knocked out another opponent, the students wondered if he would truly win the competition. Later that day, Anos' mother wanted to grab Anos' massive sword throughout the night, as he would not be allowed to continue with the tournament if it went missing. So he handed it over, and she nearly fell from the weight of it, but promised to protect it. Before long, he appeared inside the hospital with Misa and found Rei's mother, who was sick from spirit disease and was losing her source and magic. Anos told Misa that she would disappear soon, realizing she was a half-spirit, half-demon. But Misa wondered how Rei was royalty when his mother was a hybrid. Anos thought she might not have been his real mother and wondered if there was a way to save her. Just then, the woman woke up and realized who he was. She told him that Rei always spoke of him, even though she was mostly unconscious. Anos wondered if she knew that he was a hostage for the royalist organization, so she told him that she knew, and said that it was the only way of getting her treated. Anos wondered if he could heal her, but she told him that since she was half-spirit, she could only exist if everyone believes in her source. As for Rei, she said that he was a special kid who had always loved swordplay, but was sad that he could never find a worthy opponent until he met Anos. However, Anos knew he would defeat Rei, but didn't want to be the reason for his mother passing away, so he tried casting a spell, telling Misa to consume her source with her spirit magic. However, seeing as they could both be wiped out, he told her not to lose all her source, as it would be impossible to resurrect either of them. Even so, Misa was determined to save her and agreed instantly. As a new spell was activated, Misa's source began flowing into the woman. Meanwhile, as Anos' mother and the squad were heading home, the teacher appeared before them. She began telling them that the steering committee was supposed to hold Anos' sword for the finals, but the woman backed away immediately. The teacher thought violence was the answer and shot a powerful ball, nearly destroying her. Realizing she was wounded, the teacher fired a mightier ball, but the girls protected her with a magical barrier until they were knocked away by the force of the blast. After spotting the wounded girls, the mother asked why she was attacking her own students, but the teacher called them worthless, filthy hybrids that never deserved to be in her class in the first place. She said that she had come to repay Anos for humiliating her brother in the arena, and said that everyone else could rot in hell since they were not royalty. As she unleashed a terrible energy, the girls managed to shield it, and one of them told Anos' mother to run away. However, the teacher said that they were too weak and increased the energy until it consumed them. Even so, the girls would not surrender, so the teacher cast a fiery spell to burn them to a crisp, and began burning the others. As her anger increased, she unleashed an energy blast at the girls, overpowering their shield, and turning them to burnt toast. With no one left, she unleashed another energy blast to annihilate Anos' mother, but he appeared before her, taking the impact. He called the teacher an ugly, disgraceful piece of trash, and restrained her with a spell. Just then, he healed his mother's wound and revived all the girls, saying he would never forget them for their bravery. As he approached the teacher, he told her that he would punish her for being so ugly, and they vanished into the arena. Before she could escape, he stabbed her with his blade, saying that he would only spare her life if she acknowledges him as the Demon King of Tyranny. So as the pain grew worse, she called him the Demon King, but Anos thought she was only desperate to survive, and sent her straight to hell. However, he immediately cast a spell and resurrected her in a new body. He told her that she was now a hybrid and could kiss her royalty goodbye. This was her worst nightmare, and she tried ending herself, but Anos told her that he has cursed her to return into this body forever, and vanished from the arena. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Rei snuck up on Misa, demanding to know why she was here. She told him that she was sharing her powers with his mother in hopes of saving her and freeing him from the royalist organization. Pleased with her kindness, he told her that she was losing too much of her source, but Rei knocked her out to silence her ugly mouth, and laid her on the couch. At that moment, he realized that his mother was conscious, and she began telling him that she was ready to rest in peace. She said that she was happy to have found him after he was abandoned by his family, and was proud to have been his mother. As she fell unconscious, Rei decided to leave the room, happy to have found closure. Just then, Anos appeared inside and watched him leave the hospital, and by the next day, they faced off for their duel. With the fight ready to begin, both of them wore a spirit drain bracelet that would limit their magic powers. As the duel began, Rei jumped towards Anos and narrowly dodged his sword, and when their weapons clashed, Rei wondered how Anos remained so powerful even with the spirit drain bracelet, and revealed that his bracelet was an ordinary ornament. However, he had no intentions of slaying him, so the contractual swords pierced his source and was ready to end him. Rei told Anos that he just ruined his contract with the royalist group, and that his mother would be eliminated soon. He thought his life would end once the swords extinguish his source, and told Anos that he has no desire to drag him down with him. However, he promised to kick his ass before he drew his final breath. Ready for the challenge, Anos told him to give him his best shot, so he charged with his sword, but everyone thought they were too fast for their eyes. As Rei dodged Anos' blade, he stuck him in the arm, and jumped away before attacking again with lightning speed and slitting his body. As they charged at each other, they clanged swords, and Anos slashed him. Wondering who would have the upper hand, they charged again, and Anos lost his arm. But Rei's sword broke apart as Anos stabbed his heart. At that moment, a magic spell activated, and the floor descended deep into the ground. Inside a dimensional prison, Anos noticed the bird, and it transformed into Elder Melhaze at that instant. Melhaze told him that he has been waiting to get rid of him, and was glad to finally have this opportunity. With half of Anos' magic powers already drained by the bracelet, Elder Melhaze thought this would be an easy elimination, and 2 other Elder Emperors appeared from a portal to support him. However, Anos was unfazed, and Rei slayed the Elders in an instant before Anos froze them with Rivide. Melhaze wondered how he was alive, so Rei revealed that Anos had destroyed his sword contract in his final strike. Even so, the Elder thought he has the upper hand, and revealed Rei's mother, who was trapped inside a dimensional portal. He said that he would only free her if Rei agreed to become the royalist puppet again, and would even treat her disease. At once, Rei hurled his sword and jumped over him, narrowly entering into the portal. Determined to eliminate them anyway, he caused new portals to begin emitting darkness, and Anos realized that it was the same darkness he used in separating the 4 realms 2 million years ago. As he unleashed it, it repelled on his shield, so he released more darkness, but they could not break his cover. The Elder told him that he was trapped, but his arm began flying around, trying to capture him. Afraid for himself, Melhaze hurried off into a portal. At the same time, the darkness tried penetrating Anos' shield, and a new portal appeared before Rei, but Anos cast an anti-demonic spell to protect him. Using the covers, Anos told Rei that he had overused his powers, and wondered if he could help him out. Rei told him to create a great sword using his anti-demonic spell so he could destroy all the darkness. Before his eyes, a sword formed, and Rei thought he could slay his way out of the realm. As the cover disappeared, he slashed the darkness, but was knocked back, and his sword broke. But Anos covered him before he was turned to stone. Thinking they were hopeless, Rei called himself a failure, and said he deserves to be abandoned. Just then, his mother woke up, offering to support him, but Rei was afraid she would disappear forever. She told him that she would always stay with him, and transformed into a mighty sword. At once, he destroyed the darkness and began slashing everything in his path. As he arrived before the portal, he flew through with a powerful light, destroying all the darkness, and even breaking into Melhaze's impossible dimension. When he was done, his mother transformed, and told him that she was proud of him, before vanishing from his sight. As Rei grew sad, Anos told him that his mother could be resurrected. But Elder Melhaze thought it wasn't over, and began preparing another darkness dimension to eliminate them. Before he knew it, Anos appeared behind him, and he wondered how he managed to enter his absolute space. In an instant, the Elder trapped him inside a Benevolent, and it exploded immediately. However, Anos was unscathed, so he created another darkness domain to surround him, but it dispelled. With Melhaze in shock, he wondered how Anos managed to survive, but Anos summoned his mighty sword, and told him that he has regained his full powers. Looking to end him, Anos cast a single slash that destroyed his cover. Melhaze thought he evaded it, but suddenly fell to the ground, and wondered how he got caught, so Anos told him that it was impossible to dodge his sword. Desperate to escape, the Elder summoned a portal, but it shattered instantly. As he tried creating more portals, they shattered one after the other, and 1,000 more shattered at once. Anos slashed him with his sword, and killed the evil creature inside him, restoring him to his right frame of mind. Instantly, a powerful light spread around them, revealing the arena. Elder Melhaze told Anos that he was attacked the night after they met in the tower, and had lost control of his mind ever since. Before their eyes, the two elder emperors were summoned out of the ground, and Anos said that their minds have been fused and taken over. Anos thought their sources were being controlled by Avos Dilhevia, and decided to revive them. However, a blast destroyed the sources, and they saw a mysterious man in the darkness. Just then, the spell began to erase, and the students wondered who won the duel. However, when the smoke cleared, they found Rei unconscious, and Anos was declared the winner. For his victory speech, Anos began saying that his sword had done all the work, and called his father a national hero. When he was done, he decided to heal Rei's wound. As he realized he was sad to lose his mother, Anos summoned her back to life, and Rei was happy to be reunited with her. That evening, Sasha presented Anos with a sword for his victory, and told him that she always believed he would win, promising to stay by his side forever. The following day, a new teacher introduced herself to the class, saying that she would be replacing their old teacher who mysteriously vanished from the school. She said that they would be traveling to the human realm, and would be having an inter-academy class at the Hero Academy. However, the students had never been to the human realm, and they wondered if it was safe, afraid they may all be slain in their sleep. After the class, Anos decided to train his friends, thinking they might face off with some reincarnated heroes, and hoped to prepare them for the battle. As Misha created an ice sword for Rei, he began jumping up the ice to slash Anos, but he broke his sword and punched him straight to the ground, calling him a disgraceful weakling. That evening, Elder Melhaze told Anos that he managed to resurrect the two other elders, but discovered that their memories were also stolen away. He thought the human realm was responsible, and told Anos that the Hero Academy were starting to train reincarnated heroes for a possible war with their realm. After a few days, the students were ready to leave for the human realm. However, Anos teleported them in an instant, and decided to explore the city. Inside the city, they realized that the human realm was entirely different from the infernal realm. But Anos noticed that the humans were at peace. As they arrived at the Hero Academy, they came across a girl who wondered where they were. After discovering they were from the Demon King Academy, she introduced herself as Eleanor, and they realized she was a senior. Anos told her that he was interested in their hero legends, so she offered to show them around the school. Before long, they came across a painting, and Anos told Sasha that he was their hero canon. Inside the library, Eleanor revealed a book and told them that it was the legend of their hero, and how he defeated the Demon King of Tyranny. However, Sasha grew angry at her words, and began saying that the Demon King never lost to their hero, but had sacrificed himself to create peace for the realms. Just then, Anos decided to calm her down, afraid she would go on a rampage. As he wondered who was the Demon King in their history books, Eleanor told him that he was Avos Dilhevia. Eleanor told him that there were 4 reincarnated heroes, and that they were all from different eras. At that moment, a student appeared before them, and began saying that the Demon King was surely the villain of the world, and could not have possibly sacrificed himself to create peace for the realms. He called them worthless losers for doubting their history books, and told them to accept defeat already. He introduced himself as Ledriano, saying he was the first hero canon reincarnation, and was a member of the elite class. Just then, another student appeared, calling himself Laos, and said that he was the 3rd reincarnation. However, Anos thought they were anything but the hero's reincarnation, and called them a pair of fake hero wannabes. The big dude thought he could make him eat his word, and charged towards him, lunging a blast, but Anos destroyed it with a blink, knocking him to the ground. As he tried to attack again, Ledriano commanded him to accept he was a disgusting loser, and apologized to Anos for the trouble. Outside the academy, Eleanor decided to ask if Anos was a reincarnation. He told her that he was, and had hoped to meet the real hero in his return to life. However, just as they began to leave, Eleanor told him that the hero canon was gone, as he was killed 2,000 years ago. And even with his source, she said he was no longer the hero they remembered. A few days later, a group of seniors appeared before Anos, and the leader introduced himself as Revest, demanding to know how they arrived before everyone else. Anos said that it was none of his business, and told him to get his ugly ass face out of his sight. That day in the hall, the Hero Academy headmaster introduced himself as Diego, saying he would be their instructor for the inter-academy classes. For a start, he summoned random objects on the tables, and the teacher said that the students must demonstrate their magic as a welcoming show for everyone. So the headmaster chose Ledriano as their rep, and the teacher chose Revest to represent the Demon Academy. Shortly, Ledriano cast hero magic on a rusted sword, restoring it instantly, and destroying the statue. With everyone impressed, Revest decided to reveal his own ability, but his spell vanished immediately. As he tried casting another spell, it disappeared, and Ledriano wondered if the Demon King Academy was full of horrendous losers. However, Anos was sick of their ugly cheating acts, and revealed that they had cast a Lihid and break concealment spell to seal demon magic. And with a snap, the spell broke, and the rat grew from all the spell that was cast, turning it into a monster. However, with a Lihid spell, Anos caused the monsters to vanish, creating a holy sword before their eyes. With the headmaster shocked by the sight, Ledriano said that Anos was truly the Demon King of Tyranny reincarnated. At night, Elder Lord Ivis began telling Anos that the history books did not reveal Hero Canon's death. However, he managed to discover that the humans were spreading false stories to the Hero Academy students, saying that Anos would attack their realm in his reincarnation, but they would be saved by the Hero Canon. Anos realized the human realm were really trying to start a war, and wondered who was responsible for the bullshit stories. The following day at the ocean, the students were gathered for their inter-academy exams, but Anos realized that Eleanor was missing, and they wondered if she was captured. Just then, the headmaster began saying that their exams would be underwater, and hoped that the Demon King Academy would at least put up a decent fight. One senior thought they were up for the challenge, and told the teacher to choose them for the exam. But Anos thought they would lose anyway, and told him to back off. However, Revest thought only he was fit to represent the school, and offered to take up the position instead. After all, he was the teacher's little pet. So the teacher agreed, and hoped they would win for the school. After a moment, the exam began, and the King Academy summoned a castle underwater. Before long, they discovered that they could not sense the Hero Academy magic powers, and a student realized that his spells were canceling. So a few students began swimming towards enemy territory, but a torrent of water knocked one out of the way, and another realized that he could not communicate with Revest. As he spotted one of the heroes, he tried casting a spell, but it cancelled, and a torrent wiped him away. So after they succeeded, Ledriano commanded his team to head for the Demon King Castle. At the same time, Sasha realized that the seniors had been led into a trap, and thought they had no chance at winning. At that moment, the teacher realized that holy water had been mixed with the lake, and Anos revealed that the Hero Academy were receiving an endless supply of this holy water to increase their magic powers. Inside the lake, the seniors discovered that the three heroes were approaching their castle, so they activated their spells and unleashed a massive dark energy, but the heroes activated their shield, and Revest realized that they were unscathed. Just then, the three activated a triangular spell, and it began sucking up the castle until there was nothing left. Realizing their advantage, one hero summoned his great sacred sword, and began destroying everything in sight until even the screen vanished. Afraid for her students, the teacher tried asking the headmaster to end the exam, but he told her to enjoy the sight. When she tried hurrying to the lake, Anos stopped her and offered to rescue the seniors. Just then, he activated a spell and raised the group out of the water. With all the students battered, the teacher tried healing Revest, but realized that her magic was not working. As Anos tried to heal him instead, Revest smacked him away, saying that he doesn't need his help. However, Anos thought their teacher would be fired if he enters the Great Beyond, and told him to swallow his useless pride. Revest revealed a magical gear, and told them that it was used to control the water by the Hero Academy. Hoping to have some revenge, Revest told Anos to become the new rep of their school, and to destroy the Hero Academy like worthless garbage. So Anos healed his wound, and promised to take care of business. Before long, he challenged the heroes to another round of the exam, and they accepted, thinking they would surely kick his ass. Before they knew it, Anos summoned a mighty Geograze, and directed it into the lake. As it exploded, it dried up the entire water, and he began descending into the valley. With the heroes ready for the challenge, they followed him inside, and Ledriano thought they would win again. As the duel began, Anos summoned Geograze to destroy the Hero Academy, but a barrier shielded it, and a new student slashed it to obliteration. Anos told his team that the barrier was created to reduce their magic powers, and that they could never win unless the barrier was destroyed. So Misha suggested that they create their castle within the barrier, thinking it would even up the fight. Anos offered to take her inside, and they vanished instantly. Inside the barrier, Misha began to feel sick from the effect of the magic, so Anos healed her with a spell. Just then, she activated the power of her ring, and summoned 3 great castles out of the ground. At the sight of this, the heroes realized they were truly powerful, and the new girl arrived. Ledriano said that she was the 4th reincarnation of the Hero Canon, and that her name was Zeshia. As they unleashed a blast of ice at Misha, Anos stood in the way, and was restrained with ice chains. However, he cast Jurast and electrocuted them instantly. Zeshia appeared before his eyes, but he unleashed Jurast once more, causing an explosion. Before long, Laos revived and was hungry for revenge, but Sasha appeared before his eyes, telling him that she was his new opponent, and promised to beat his ass until he looks worse than a blobfish. After an explosion, Laos unleashed a series of blasts on Sasha, but she evaded, and he dodged her strike. However, he soon realized that she had stolen his magical gear. Determined to take it back, he began charging at her, and summoning his great sword, he split the ice before him, managing to snatch the gear. As he began whipping his sword, Sasha realized she was trapped in a barrier magic. Ready to end her, the loser began flying at her, but his blood exploded, and he fell to the ground. At that moment, he realized that his gear had been poisoned with a dark spell, and Sasha destroyed the barrier magic around her, shocking him by the sight. At the same time, Rei faced off with the third hero canon Reincarnation Hein. However, his arm was slit off in an instant, and he wondered how Rei managed to attack him from inside the barrier. Even so, he restored his arm, and thought he somehow still had the upper hand. As Rei picked up a sword, he stuck it in the ground, causing an eruption that threw Hein away, allowing him to catch his sword. Hein had never seen anything like this, and wondered how Rei could handle both a demon and a holy sword, but Rei said it was none of his business, and told him to rest in peace. Meanwhile, Anos appeared before Ledriano, and told him to quit playing possum. So as he confronted him, he realized that Anos was a powerful opponent, and summoned his sacred ocean guardian sword for their battle. Zeshia tried sneaking up from behind, but Anos shielded her attack. Determined not to quit, she attacked again, and began flying around, swinging her blade relentlessly to slice off his face, and eventually stabbed him with the edge. However, her blade was shielded, and he slammed her to the ground. Ledriano tried taking advantage, but he threw them into the far wall. Realizing they were hopeless, Ledriano decided to cast a great spell that covered the entire valley. As a bright light surrounded them, Ledriano said that they were channeling the souls of every human in the realm, and that this power could eliminate anyone. Just then, Zeshia rushed at Anos, destroying his barrier, but he evaded a slash, and the girl blocked his lightning attack, allowing Ledriano to destroy his shield, but he escaped. Even so, they came at him again, but could not break his cover and jumped away. Ledriano wondered how he grew more powerful, so Anos revealed that he was absorbing the power of his own team to increase his magic. The heroes attacked again, but Anos repelled them with a powerful light. However, Ledriano would not quit, and unleashed an energy blast, but Anos cast an arrow flame that exploded and knocked them aside. At that moment, they began hearing a mysterious voice, and Anos realized that it was a brainwashing spell. When it faded, Misha told Anos that it was dark magic, but the heroes were determined to become villains. As Misha withdrew, Zeshia activated a death spell and flew at Anos, piercing herself and exploding at that instant. Even so, Anos was unfazed and called himself an immortal god. Just then, Zeshia attacked again, activating another spell, but Anos realized it was a distraction and buried his hand inside her source. At that instant, he heard Eleanor's voice, and she told him to meet her inside the shrine. Immediately, he commanded Misha to meet with her, and she soon arrived inside an ancient hall. Right then, the headmaster fired a blast that she narrowly shielded. Looking to execute her, he summoned his sword and cast a spell that destroyed her shield, allowing him to stab her from the back. He was angry that the Demon King had caused a war 2,000 years ago, and thought she deserved to be punished for his evils. So he began penetrating her with his long sword, eager to send her to the afterlife. As he grew deranged, he told her that the Demon Academy had walked right into his trap, and would execute every one of them. However, Anos blasted a hole inside him, and flung him onto the wall. Casting a box around the girl, Anos began to heal her wound, and returned to eliminate the man with dark fumes until he disappeared. With a drop, he summoned him, and demanded to know why they turned a high school exam into an all-out war. When the man would not say, Anos activated a spell, turning him into an ugly beast. The man thought he could use his newfound form to his advantage, and commanded his students to execute the Demon Academy immediately. As he awakened a light, telling them to honor their slain hero canon, Anos' team avoided the red-eyed monsters. However, the light suddenly vanished, and the headmaster wondered why it didn't explode. Anos told him that he stopped time before the explosion could happen, and pulled out his source in an instant, saying that the f***ing Hero Academy were a bunch of villains and were nothing like the hero canon. As he crushed the source, the monster vanished before his eyes, and with the man dead, Anos began carrying Misha to safety. Shortly, they arrived inside the shrine, and Anos asked Eleanor who she really was. She told him that she was magic, and was created with a taboo magic spell that changed her, calling herself a human magic. Anos thought it made sense, as the hero's wounds were mysteriously healing in battle. Deciding to free her, he shattered the glass with his demonic eyes, and cast her uniform on her. At that instant, she activated a spell, causing the cover to vanish outside. As she revealed clones who were trapped inside bubbles, she told Anos that they were created by the Academy, and that she was the source magic creating these clones. Hero Canon's commander had originally perfected this process, and Anos remembered that he was a renowned enemy who had desired the annihilation of the infernal realm. This desire had caused him to create the Hero Academy so he could keep the war alive. 2,000 years ago, the hero had gone against his plans for war, but was killed by his own men. Eleanor told Anos that she had always hoped to meet him, and asked him to destroy her so she would never create another clone. As Anos began telling her that he would grant her wish, the headmaster clone entered the shrine, and Eleanor told him that the heroes and headmaster would continue reviving unless she was dead. At the same time, the 3 remaining demon emperors exploded the door, and Avos Dilhevia pulled out the hero's holy sword. Desperate to stop them, the man fired an energy blast, but a black orb absorbed all the energy, and even swallowed up the men. Just then, Anos appeared before them, realizing who he was, and unleashed Geograze, but Avos slashed it apart, dispersing it. He said that he had come to change the world, and vanished in that instant. That evening, a hologram of the headmaster revealed to the humans that the demon king of tyranny had reawoken, and that he had declared a war on the human realm. At the same time in the infernal realm, Avos appeared in another hologram, saying that the human realm was evil, and deserved to be wiped out like a stain on a dirty dish. Inside the tower, Elder Melhaze told Anos that Avos has gained the support of all the demon lords, and that their armies were marching onto the borders. At that moment, Misha and Sasha appeared, offering their support to Anos, and the others promised to stay with him forever. So the next day, Sasha and Misha appeared before the demon army, determined to keep them away from the border. Outside of the kingdom, Rei slayed several troops on the other side of the forest, looking to keep them away from the east border. On the edge of the infernal realm, Anos told the elder emperors that he would face off with Avos, and unleashed flames to scare off the troops. As the elders appeared through the fire, the soldiers thought they were ghosts, but Anos appeared before their eyes, calling himself the true demon king. Even so, the troops thought he was a fake, and decided to attack him, but with a step, he destroyed the ground far onto the castle. Just then, the 3 other elders began flying towards them, but Elder Melhaze thought they would be a piece of cake, so Anos disappeared to the castle. Before long, Melhaze told him with thought communication that the 3 elders had been restrained, but said that Avos' source was not inside of them. Meanwhile, Avos Dilhevia was walking towards the border, but a barrier surrounded him, and Anos appeared before his eyes. At that instant, Avos summoned his holy sword and charged at Anos, creating a powerful energy from their collision. Anos tried catching his source, but he jumped away instantly. Impressed with his speed, Anos thought he was Hero Canon, and wondered when he reincarnated. So with his secret exposed, he decided to take off his mask, revealing that he was Rei. Rei wondered how he figured out that he was the hero, so Anos revealed that the single shell necklace he bought a few weeks ago was only known by the hero, and was proof that he remembered his past. Anos wondered how he was able to wield both the unique sword for demons and the holy sword for humans, and wondered why he decided to become a bad guy. Rei said that the humans were weak, and decided to tell him everything that happened. After he was killed by his own men, the humans began setting up a plot to annihilate the Demon King before his reincarnation. However, he thought it was very unfair, and decided to change the future with his holy sword. So he cancelled Anos' destiny to reincarnate as the Demon King of Tyranny, and made himself the Demon King instead, hoping to be slain in his place, and to finally restore peace to the human realm. He was certain that this was the right thing to do, and thought his life would make the perfect sacrifice for the realm. However, Anos thought his shell necklace meant he has a lover, and said that he would not allow him to abandon her. Even so, Rei was determined to complete his goal, even if it meant putting him inside the ground, so he prepared his sword for battle. As he hurried to slay Anos, he rose high towards the sky, and cast flaming balls at him. The hero tried slashing them, but was knocked down, and the flames began pummeling him until one source was destroyed. However, he flew at Anos again, but he punched him with a spell, causing another source to vanish. As Rei continued fighting, Anos summoned a great sea of water that swallowed him up, making him lose yet another source. Even so, he would not quit, and managed to slash him. But Anos burned him with a flurry of Geograze, and he lost his fourth source. Before Rei could attack once more, Anos stuck his hand inside him, destroying his fifth source, and watched him fall onto the ground. With one final source left, Anos told him that he couldn't possibly win this fight. However, the hero thought he could defeat him, so he summoned a second holy sword and attacked Anos with fast strikes. As he attempted to split him into a million pieces, he began cutting his way through the massive geograys until his sword stabbed Anos in the heart. This had been his plan all along, and Anos told him to stay with the love of his life forever. At that moment, Anos' source weakened, and he masked himself as Avos Delhevia. At the sight of this, the hero realized that Anos was the true hero, and hoped that this second sacrifice would restore true peace to the realms. As the dark walls came down, everyone realized that the hero had slain the Demon King. Anos thought that this would create true peace, and commanded the army to retreat until his reincarnation. As the hero pulled his sword, he began falling towards the ground and dissolved away. Raising his sword, the hero declared that Anos was dead and that the war was over. As he sheathed his sword, the demon commander ordered his army to retreat. However, the deranged headmaster wasn't having it, and began commanding his army to attack the demons. At that instant, a spell was activated on the Zeshia army, but Eleanor appeared before them, hoping to stop the war. The deranged man said that destroying the demons was the only way to create true peace, and as he grew angry, he began emitting a mysterious energy like a man possessed by an evil spirit. At that instant, a soul rose out of him, transforming into a spell, and began hypnotizing the army to continue with the war. Just then, an old commander, Jurga, appeared before their eyes, who had betrayed the hero 2,000 years ago. He said that he had returned to annihilate the demons, but the hero said he would destroy him first, and cast a slash, but it merely vanished. Right then, Sasha and Misha appeared before him, determined to stop him. As they joined hands, they activated a powerful spell that fused them into one body. Jurga cast several energy blasts to destroy the girl, but she caused them to vanish. Just then, he decided to activate a self-destruct spell on the Zeshia army, but the girl bounded instantly, and the hero cut them down. As Misa cast a bubble, the hero burst it, causing it to disperse onto the clones, and Eleanor stopped the rest from reaching the demon army. As the chains broke, Jurga made the army start rising, and the hero realized that he couldn't trap them all in a bubble. At that instant, a powerful light spread across the realm, but the clones began falling towards the ground, and Anos appeared as the savior of the day. When Jurga wondered how he reincarnated so fast, even after losing his source, Anos told him that he had activated an origin magic, using the hero's attack as an origin to revive his source. Jurga thought he could eliminate him for good, and cast a spell that began draining the human's souls, making him transform into a great knight. As he swung his sword, the hero smacked it away, and Anos told him that this was the time to finally eliminate the cause of the wars. Jurga swung his sword to end them, but Anos repelled the energy, and the hero was blasted towards the forest. As Anos restrained the knight, he caused a fire, but he blasted him with a powerful explosion. When the smoke cleared, Anos decided to cast his own spell, and began absorbing the girls of their energy. Even so, Jurga thought his powers were much greater, and summoned millions of light swords. As he launched them at the army, Eleanor protected them with a great shield, and screamed for them to retreat, but they supported her instead, and Melhaze destroyed another set of swords. The knight tried casting another spell, but was electrocuted instantly, and Anos told him that the realms don't need to go to war. As he crashed to the ground, Anos summoned his sword, and they narrowly dodged his blade and began evading his energy blasts, eventually breaking through his shield and burying their sword inside him. For a moment, a golden light appeared in the sky, but vanished in an instant. Just then, the girls separated, and the twins were happy to see Anos alive. Shortly, Anos appeared before Eleanor to fulfill his promise, so he cast a spell on her source, telling her that she was now his magic, and promised to protect her forever. Deep into the distant past, the lights of the heavenly immortal god would bestow the earth, as he appeared before the mother of all spirits. His goal was to develop Plot with her massive cannons in order to birth the son of God. But as she launched vines from the ground to stab his chest, he redirected them to restrain her, ready to plow the hoe and plant his seed deep inside her fertile soil. Galia began preparing a spell, but Anos summoned Geograys to consume him. Just as he commanded the dark flame to vanish, Anos stabbed his heart, but Galia wouldn't die, and began saying that God has decided to destroy him, and that the other gods would soon come after him. Before he knew it, a blade slashed his throat, and Anos' right-hand man revealed that his sword could silence even the gods. So Anos destroyed his source, causing the body to vanish. And with the god destroyed, Anos commanded Shin to protect her and to escort her back to her forests. It was on that same night that Anos sacrificed himself to bring peace to the realms, but during the following morning, Lino and Shin finally arrived inside her forest home, as the fairies appeared to warn her about an invasion, saying that the spirits are being devoured. They noticed that divine beasts were already inside. Immediately, Shin drew his sword and began slaying all the monsters, but a mysterious figure destroyed the last one. Sensing his presence, Lino demanded to know who he was, so the man appeared before her and introduced himself as Inoshu. But Shin thought he was exactly like Anos. Meanwhile, Anos and his friends were finally back at school. As the teacher arrived in class, she decided to introduce the exchange students from the Hero Academy. As the students noticed Eleonora's huge melons, they realized she was accompanied by Zeshia. Just then, the teacher decided to introduce their new instructor, Erdemade, and he began class the same way any sane teacher would, by calling the students a bunch of brain-dead morons who were too useless to even know their own fathers after they walked out on them. He said that Avos Delhevia was a fake demon king while revealing that Anos was the true demon king, and said that even the demon emperors have created a Zek contract to validate the truth. So as he summoned Anos to the front, he caused the seats to vanish and forced the morons to worship him. However, Anos decided to return them to their seats and began saying that the demon realm was now at peace, and that they don't have to be ruled by the demon king of tyranny. As he decided to leave, he revealed that he already knows who he really was, and was certain that he was the heavenly father god Galia, but was pretending to be a demon now. Even so, the students thought he was a worthless liar, so as he grew angry, he began to strangle the day life out of them. However, Anos was unwilling to see the worthless students being killed, and pointed his sword at him, threatening to eliminate him. As Erdemade tried saying that killing him would cause the world to be destroyed, Anos stabbed him immediately, and watched him vanish. Without hesitating, he activated a Gronumt and resurrected him immediately. However, as he discovered that he already lost his divine source, Anos told him that he left him with 10% of his original powers, but decided to spare his life. By the time it was over, Rei began wondering who the child of God was, and Rin thought he would reincarnate with as much power as the demon king of tyranny himself. At that moment, Anos realized he would be a threat, and revealed that he must see Melhaze immediately. As Anos appeared in the tower, he realized that Melhaze has been slain, and he spotted an enemy before him. As he tried to resurrect him, the man stopped the spell instantly, so he introduced himself as Zeke and said that he was Erdemade's military advisor, and revealed Misa as she was stabbed by an enemy. On the other hand, Zabro appeared before Rin and Zeshia, revealing that he poisoned their friends, and has come to kill both of them. At the same time, Misha and Sasha found the abductor, but she revealed that the teacher was only a trap to lure them here, and dumped her body on the ground. So at the tower, Zeke decided to challenge Anos, saying that he could only save his friends if he manages to slay him. However, he began saying that Anos must figure out whoever was the child of God, and said that he would temporarily lose his powers if he guessed wrong. During this time, Zeke could slay him before he recovers, but Anos thought he couldn't possibly lose. As he agreed, Anos told him that he would get it right in 9 guesses, and snapped his fingers to activate a secret spell. So they signed the Zek Pact, and Zeke thought he would finally defeat the Demon King. Meanwhile in the school, as Jared stabbed Misa, he began saying that his master has sent him to eliminate her. However, he realized his little sword could not penetrate her, and Rei appeared by her side. As he wondered why the worthless loser was trying to kill her, Jared summoned a shield out of the ground, and revealed that Misa was the child of the great spirit Lino, and that her source contains the power to control all spirits. On the other hand, Zabro began summoning zombies, but Rin activated a series of spells to knock them unconscious. As he decided to reveal that she was actually created by the gods to become their vessel, he began saying that he couldn't wait to put his seed inside of her. At the same time, Rinka began telling the girls that they were created to develop plot with the gods, and as she summoned a weapon, she said that they would be eliminated if they refused to carry the seed. Even so, the girls were unfazed and revealed that Anos was their husband, and that their only desire was to carry his seed. Meanwhile, Anos began wondering which of the girls was truly the chosen one to bear the child of God. However, as he guessed it was the twins, Zeke revealed that he was wrong, and said that the child of God has already been born, and that she was Misa. However, Anos thought his lying ugly ass face could not have revealed the truth so easily, and realized he was being tricked. At the same time, Jared revealed that his magic shield curses the slasher to be wounded by his own blade. In an instant, Rei tried breaking Jared's shield, but as he stabbed him, Rei slashed him from the back. But his source was destroyed instead, and Jared thought he screwed himself up. On the other hand, Zabro cast a powerful spell that awakened several zombies, but as Zeshia summoned a sword to slay them, Rin pulled her away, but they discovered more zombies ahead. So they started running down the hall, and soon came across a stone monument. Rin realized it was creating all the zombies, and thought they could end everything if they managed to destroy it. Before they knew it, the zombies began to surround them, and the ugly imp appeared before them. In that instant, he cast a greater spell, and began absorbing their life force. At the same time, Rinka was ready to eliminate the twins, and even the slash of her sword cut across Sasha's body. As Sasha wondered how she managed to get injured, Rinka revealed that her boundless sword does whatever she commands regardless of her opponent's distance. At that moment, she covered herself with her ice shield, so the girls prepared their own attack. As Sasha unleashed Geograze, Rinka pierced through it, and her blade eventually stabbed Sasha. Noticing she was already weak, she stabbed her immediately, sending her crashing to the ground. Just then, Misha bound her with ice chains, but Rinka freed herself and stabbed her too. On the other hand, Anos was still trying to figure out who the child of God was, and thought it couldn't possibly be Misa. However, with Zeke revealing that it was neither the twins nor the other girls, Anos realized that this was all a scam. So he began saying that Zeke already implanted a fake memory into his own brain, to convince himself that there was a child of God amongst his wives. However, Zeke thought he figured it out too late and cast barriers around him. With Anos having lost all of his guesses, Zeke revealed that his magical powers would be sealed temporarily from their Zek Pact. So as he forfeited the contract, Zeke stabbed Melhaze's source, but as his men charged at Anos, he killed them in an instant. Just then, Melhaze appeared, and Zeke wondered how he managed to survive. At the same time, Rinka was ready to end Misha, but her sword shattered like ice. With Misha ready to end her for good, she summoned an ice city from the sky, and Rika realized she has awakened her full powers. Without hesitating, Misha sealed her in ice and caused it to shrink until it vanished. Afterwards, she managed to heal Sasha's wounds, but passed out from exhaustion. On the other hand, Rei decided to slash the remaining jewels at once, and as Jared discovered he has 7 sources, he realized he was the reincarnated hero Canon. With Jared slain already, his soul vanished instantly, but Rei thought he must have reincarnated himself. At the school, Zabro continued draining the girl's life force, but as Rin managed to create a powerful energy, it overpowered his own magic, and she blasted the stone at that instant. With the worthless imp defeated, Rin cast a revival spell and returned the zombies to their human form. At the tower, Anos revealed that he already resurrected Melhaze from the moment he first snapped his fingers, but had left a clone in his place. Realizing it was over for him, Zeke decided to end himself, but Anos resurrected him as a bird and made him his own pet. By the time they all reunited, Anos told the girls that one of them was the child of God, but thought it may also be just a lie from the enemies. And at the same time, Rei handed over a sword that belonged to him 2 million years ago. Before their eyes, Anos summoned the other half of the sword and joined them with the dark magic. When he was done, he told them that he would visit the great spirit Lino in her forest, hoping to discover the mysteries around the sword. The following day, as they teleported outside the city, Erdemaid began telling the students that their exam was to discover the spirit forest. So as they began walking through the town, hoping to find clues that would lead them to the forest, they noticed a girl that was getting beat up. But as the disgusting bullies tried to corner her because they were too useless to pick on someone their own size, Anos appeared at that moment and blasted them for being worthless. So with the girl finally safe, she decided to thank Anos for the rescue, but he wondered if she could direct them to the spirit forest. Excited by the thought, the girl, Lena, began saying that she lost her memory, but wishes to enter the spirit forest because she could sense it was her home. As Anos scanned her body, he discovered she was not a demon and thought she may be connected to the forest. So as he agreed to allow her to come along, she began telling them that the only way to find the forest was during an eclipse, as the fog would cover the meadow and lure out the spirits. Hearing her words, Sasha wondered how long they would have to wait for an eclipse, but the Riz god decided to just fucking drag the moon across the sky and eclipse the sun at that moment. By the time they teleported to an open field, they realized the area was already covered with fog. Just then, Lena decided to introduce herself, and as they wondered how to lure out the spirits, a group of massive cannons arrived, hoping to join Anos' harem. But as he told them they were far too ugly, the spirits appeared at that moment. As they discovered who Anos was, he asked that they lead them into the forest, so the fairies led the way. As they arrived in the forest, one of the fairies noticed Lena and thought she looks exactly like the great spirit Lino. However, as they revealed that Lino was already dead, Anos realized that his search for her was useless. This discovery made Misa sad, as she had hoped to see the great spirit. Just then, the fairies realized she has the same scent as Lino, so she revealed that she was Lino's child. However, as she began wondering who her father was, the fairies took off immediately, saying that they could never reveal the secret. Before long, they arrived at a giant tree, and as they entered, they discovered it was actually a classroom. Just then, a haunting, ugly, disgusting demon appeared before them, the Scarlet Monument King Gilasiris, who sent Zeke and the other enemies to eliminate them the previous day. 2 other demons appeared, and Anos realized that the King of the Netherworld and the King of Curses were now allies with Gilasiris. Before they knew it, a bell rang in the class, and the door vanished, sealing them inside. Just then, the tree spirit revealed its face and welcomed them to the spirit's school building. Here, they would learn about spirits' histories and could never leave until they graduated from the school. However, the dead brains who failed to graduate would be spirited away, never to be seen again. Anos thought he could never fail, and wondered how they would graduate from the school, so in Union began saying that they must pass all the trials and have more than an average score in the test. However, Gilasiris thought Anos would screw himself over and would be spirited away before he even knows it, but Anos told him to shut his worthless, filthy, ugly mouth before he shoves his massive sword inside of it. As he was determined to prove himself, he decided to challenge him to a Zect pact, saying that everyone on his team would pass the test. On top of that, he demanded that Gilasiris reveals the name of his master if he manages to win the Zect. So Gilasiris demanded for his source in return. Agreeing to this, they sealed their vows with a Zect pact. With Gilasiris and the other demons gone, Sasha wondered if they stand a chance at passing the tests, because with her dud brain, she could barely remember shit. However, Anos was very certain that they would pass, and cast a spell on Lena to help her regain her memories. And as she did, she revealed that she must see the Spirit King, as she thought even Anos was familiar. A few minutes later, as they arrived at the Forest of Books, the girls began wondering how they could possibly read them all within a few days. On top of that, they were very certain that they wouldn't remember a single thing. Before they knew it, Anos summoned the books and read them all in an instant. When he was done, the others began their own study, but Sasha passed out before her brain could explode. As Anos met up with Lena, he revealed a torn page from one of the books and discovered he couldn't regenerate it with Rivide's spell. He thought it would be important in the test, but wondered who could have torn it. The following day, as the test began, Anos discovered that the questions were not in the books they read, and thought someone must have switched the questions on purpose. At the same time, he discovered that the girls had no memories of anything, and wondered how he managed to have a harem of morons. However, as he decided to see for himself, Gilasiris reported that he was cheating, and commanded that he be expelled immediately. But in Union revealed that he submitted already. As Anos realized that the girls would all fail because their empty brains were too useless, he decided to activate a secret spell. At that moment, the time was up, and all the books were collected at once. However, as in Union began to announce the scores, they discovered that the girls scored above the average, and Anos got the highest score. Gilasiris thought it was too good to be true, and began saying that there must have been a mistake somewhere. But Anos revealed that his magic sword of destruction has the power to make their wrong answers right. To fulfill their contract, Anos demanded to know who his master was, so he confessed that it was the Spirit King. With the next trial ready to begin, Union announced that the only way to pass was to reach Union's top, which was the castle of the Spirit King. However, only 5 of the steps would lead them to the Spirit King, while the rest would lead them back to the tree. They would only have one chance, so as the trial began, Sasha suggested they split up, hoping a few of them would definitely find the doors. However, they grew afraid at the thought of the next trial, and began wondering how they could exchange their spot for Anos. At that moment, Anos activated a spell, and transformed everyone into himself. When his first clone opened one of the doors, he realized it was a wrong one, and transformed back to the girl. As Anos and Ray found the right doors, he began climbing to the top, but Lena appeared from a portal, and told him that her memories were still fuzzy. As they walked through the forest, they started climbing towards the top. Just then, Lena discovered the gate, and as they penetrated it, they realized they were in a field of flowers. At the sight of it, Lena thought she had been here before, and noticed a grave before them. Even though her memories were not recovered, she thought she knew who was buried here, but was sad that she couldn't say her goodbyes. Just then, Anos noticed an invisible presence and commanded her to reveal herself. Before their eyes, a new demon appeared and began saying that she has been waiting for Anos. Her name was Jitsi, and she was the king of the Netherworld's split personality. As she revealed that she decided to meet him here, since the spirit's surveillance does not cover this field. She began saying that Kaihalam has been spirited away by the hidden wolf. Seeing as they haven't failed their trial, she thought the spirit king was definitely responsible, and said that even the king of curses was a hostage. As Anos grew more curious, he demanded to know who the spirit king was, so she revealed his identity. At that moment, Anos realized that he was Avos Dilhevia, and remembered that he once appeared at the Magic Sword tournament, but wondered what his true intentions were. At the same time, Rei and Misa came across each other, so he carried her off to the clouds. As they spotted the gate before them, it turned dark instantly, and as lightning struck the ground, the hidden wolf appeared before their eyes and granted them the permission to pass through as it opened before them. Just as they entered, the clouds parted, revealing the Spirit King's castle. As they arrived inside, they began hearing Anunion's voice as he congratulated them for finding their way here. And the castle lit up at that moment, revealing Avos Dilhevia, who was the Spirit King. Hoping to make it quick, Rei tried asking if he bears a grudge against Anos, but Avos was not willing to answer shit. So Anunion announced that their next trial was to split the king's mask if they wished to speak to him. Immediately, light swords stabbed into the ground, and the voice announced that they could only use these weapons and their spirit magic. So Rei pulled one of them and accepted the trial. At the same time, Avos pulled his own sword and was ready to fight. Meanwhile, Anos and the King of Curses had arrived for their next trial, and as the trial began, the spirit transformed into a powerful lightning and struck the ground. So Edges pulled a spear out of his body and pierced the lightning but knew it was useless. At once, Anos cast Regishraid to slice it up and unleashed a bright light from the sky. But before he could seal the hidden wolf, the spell broke, and he discovered that Lena has been captured. At that moment, he realized that he could defeat the wolf, and as it charged at him, he blasted it into the ground. He had figured out that he could spot the wolf with his eyes closed, and managed to defeat it. Just then, the gate opened, and as the skies cleared up, Anos began walking to the entrance. Meanwhile, in the king's castle, he began clashing swords with Rei, but as he unleashed a blast, he cast a barrier, turning it to little pieces of crystals. As Rei tried to attack again, the king smacked his sword away, but he jumped back, revealing he was unkillable with his 7 sources. However, Rei thought he was familiar, and began wondering where they could have possibly met each other. At that instant, an energy blast surrounded him, and a girl flew to end him, trapping his feet to the floor. As Rei cast a barrier, the king destroyed it, but Misa stopped him with her magic. Immediately, she awakened her spirit magic, and trapped the Spirit King in a cell. As she appeared before Rei, she gave him a new sword, and he promised to never lose. As he charged again, the girl summoned vines around him, but he managed to slash them as Misa unleashed a blast on her. At the same time, Rei and the king clashed swords, but as he broke it this time, Rei leapt back. Even so, he followed with his attack, but as Rei drew a powerful energy from Misa, he cut through his armor. So with the king wounded, he declared himself the winner, but he healed himself immediately, and cast a spell on Rei, trapping him on the spot. As he was ready to end him, Misa released her magic, and took the sword in his place. At the same time, Anos arrived at another castle, and discovered that Gilasiris was waiting, pretending to be the Spirit King. As Anos wondered what the purpose of this trial was, Gilasiris told him that he would only meet the Spirit King if he manages to defeat him, and summoned stone monuments around them. Without wasting any time, he summoned ancient magic, calling it his 2,000-year research. To test his strength, Anos unleashed a dark energy, but could not overpower his own. So Gilasiris decided to release his full powers, saying he's managed to acquire the magical formula controlling unlimited magical powers, and blasted Anos with a powerful energy that destroyed half of the castle. As he began to think he won the battle, Anos unleashed a worse energy on him, saying that he was stronger than even the ancient magical arts, and destroyed him in that instant. As Anos arrived inside the real castle, he discovered that Avos Dilhevia was the Spirit King, and was actually a woman who had taken over Misa's body. However, she only managed to exist in the first place due to the rumors of Avos Dilhevia that Rei had created 2,000 years ago. As Anos began to unravel her plans, he realized that she had only existed because the truth has not been revealed to the realm. However, she was convinced that she's actually the real Demon King, and the Demon Emperors unleashed fire on him, hoping to obliterate him. But Anos was unscathed, so he told her that her fake useless name would remain fake forever, before vanishing at that instant. As he rejoined the others, they realized there was a barrier over the spirit forest, and Anos revealed that they couldn't teleport outside of it. Just then, the other girls arrived, and as they began wondering if Misa was Avos Delhevia all along, Anos told them that Misa began to exist because of the rumors of the fake Demon King. As Sasha wondered if Misa's body could ever be recovered, afraid that she would end up with a spirit disease like Rei's mother, Anos promised to restore her. Before they knew it, vines surrounded them, trapping them inside. And Anos realized that even an union was unwilling to allow them to leave. As it revealed its face, it began saying that it was its duty to protect Lino's child, and that the only way to leave was to finish the extra classes. However, Anos was already sick of their bullshit, and even its disgusting, horrendous face, so he blasted Geograze at the wall and broke through the vines. As they returned to the tree spot, new enemies appeared, and Anos realized that the leader was his subordinate from 2,000 years ago. Just then, the man began charging at him, but Edges knocked him back. As he told Anos that he's successfully rescued Lina from the vanishment spell, he revealed that Avos Delhevia, who is the child of God, has gained control over the demon emperors. As he promised to take over the battle in the forest, Anos and the others decided to reunite with Lina. When he wondered if she could lead them out of the forest, she decided to summon the fairies and asked for their help in getting out. So taking her as one of them, they decided to open up a portal and successfully led them to the open field. As they teleported outside the city, they began wondering how to make their way inside, seeing as the entire city was already sealed with a magical barrier. However, as the gates began to open, Anos cast an invisible spell on them, and when the commander appeared, he ordered his army to watch over the city gates, hoping Anos would not sneak inside. But as soon as they left, Anos appeared before his eyes, but he welcomed him as his lord. As he began saying that most of their army have become followers of Avos Delhevia, he revealed that only a few of them still believe that he's the true Demon King. However, their best hope was to play along, if they hoped to keep their position. Inside the city, the worthless filthy teacher who got turned into a hybrid demon as a punishment, began running for her disgusting life, but a fireball blasted her. As a group of low-lives royalty appeared before her, she tried telling them that she was also royalty, but they thought she was an ugly little liar and could only see her as a hybrid demon. Just then, the lead bully started absorbing her magic powers. But even that wasn't enough, so he began to kick her and squashed her face, saying that she doesn't deserve to live, before kicking her again. As he picked her up, ready to terminate her, she realized that she has done the exact same thing to her hybrid students when she tried to eliminate them. As the memory haunted her, she realized she was about to get a taste of her own medicine. At that moment, they started absorbing her life force at the same time, nearly draining the life out of her. Just then, Anos' mother appeared at that moment, demanding that they free the girl. But the losers thought their night was only getting better and realized they could punish her for Anos' sins. Before they knew it, Anos' Chad father kicked them away, so Isabella tried to help the worthless girl. But she pushed her away as a streak of fire blasted her. At the same time, Gusta got his ass clapped.
Pause.
But as the bully threatened to burn him, Anos appeared with his squad. Without hesitating, he prepared a spell, and after raising his hand, he directed them towards the sky, bounding them at once. In an instant, he destroyed them into tiny pieces, turning them to colorful lights. Inside his home, as Isabella was happy to see him again, Gusta noticed his increasing harem, and realized he has become the greatest Muslim man alive. A few minutes later, when they realized that Avos Delhevia was trying to find Anos' sword of destruction, Rin suggested they go through the hidden underground city that Anos created inside the ground for Zeshia's clones. Seeing that it was a perfect plan, Anos revealed a secret staircase inside the ground and told the rest of the girls to protect his family in the meantime. However, before they left, Emilia appeared and began asking Anos to eliminate her already. She had been living her worst nightmare since she became a hybrid, and thought she was better off dead. But Anos wondered if she has learned any lessons since becoming a regular demon, and left her as he headed into the underground. Inside the hidden city, they realized that the Zeshia clones were happier here, and as they arrived in an inner chamber, Anos revealed that the chamber leads to an underground dungeon in the original demon castle. However, he was very certain that the enemies must have found their way inside already, so he teleported them at the same time. As they began walking deeper into the castle, hoping to find the magic sword of destruction, they noticed the security approaching them, but Anos had already cast an invisibility spell on the group. However, as they began to leave, he noticed the misfit symbol on Revest's uniform and thought he was just pretending to be one of them. So he touched him as he walked by, and as Revest sensed his presence, he told the commander that he intends to check for footprints. However, as soon as they left, the group became visible, and their teacher was glad to see them safe. As she revealed that the entire city was under Avos Delhevia's spell, she wondered how they could free everyone. So Anos began saying that he would use the ultimate time magic Revalin to go back in time and discover how Avos Delhevia began to exist. He thought Shin was Avos Delhevia, but was hoping to figure out exactly how everything went wrong. However, as he revealed the spell for the time travel would draw the demon's attention, Revest told Anos to attack him in order to distract the guards. So Anos unleashed Geograze on him, consuming his body until he passed out from the pain. Just then, the security arrived, and Menu told the commander that Anos had blasted him and was heading for the upper floors. At that moment, the commander realized that the curse could not be healed by Menu's magic, so he ordered his men to search for Anos. By the time the group arrived in the treasure room, they realized the place was empty. As Rin asked if Anos would change the past, he revealed that he only intends to watch history play out before his eyes, as there would be terrible consequences if he tries to manipulate it. Ready to activate Revalin, Anos began drawing energy from the girls, and as Rin released a greater energy, Anos raised the Timekeeper's scythe and slashed an opening into the past. As they appeared at an ancient slum city, which was actually the human realm, Anos revealed that this was the time the rumors began. He thought Shin and the Great Spirit Lino would be entering the city at any moment, and suggested they enter first. When Ray wondered if his presence wouldn't do any damage to the future, Anos told him to hide his source so that he would be undetected and basically invisible. So Ray hid his source with a spell. A few minutes later, as they started walking through the city, they decided to buy Holy Light candies, hoping to utilize them in revealing the spirit forests. However, just as they bought all of them, Lino arrived with Shin asking to buy some. As the man told her that it was all sold out, Zeshia noticed she had grown sad and decided to share some of her own. Lino thought it was a kind gesture and offered her cookies in return. But this was all part of Anos' plan, and as he revealed who they were, Rin realized that Shin looks exactly like Avos Delhevia. On the other hand, as Shin and Lino arrived at a lake, she cast a spell to reveal the forest, glad to have finally arrived home. So Shin slashed the darkness, and they made their way inside. At the same time, Anos appeared with the group, and as Misha threw a holy light candy into the lake, the forest appeared before their eyes. Inside the forest, the fairies appeared before Lino and began saying that the trees were being eaten up. Just then, she discovered that divine beasts have already invaded her home, and realized the forest would be destroyed. Meanwhile, Anos and the group had already snuck inside, and were hiding at the back of a log. As Shin noticed the beasts, he summoned a blade and sliced them at once. However, Anos thought they could offer some support, so he decided to use Sasha's magic, and annihilated the remaining monsters. As Lino noticed their presence, she commanded them to reveal themselves immediately, but Sasha was afraid that the future would be ruined. However, Anos thought this was the perfect way to discover the whole truth. So as he revealed himself, he transformed into a younger boy and introduced himself as Inoshu. But Shin thought he looks exactly like Anos. At the same time, he made the others visible and began saying that they are traveling entertainers. However, even Lino thought he looks like Anos. As he tried saying that he was the younger version of the Demon King of Tyranny, Lino thought he was a clown and started laughing at his horrendous face. When she wondered how they managed to enter the spirit forest, Anos told her that Misha had breached the barrier with her magic. Taking them for jokers, Lino tried asking Shin if they could trust them, but Anos hypnotized his mind, making him agree immediately. However, when he wondered why they were here, Anos told him that they came to research on spirits for their next play, and asked Lino if she could help Lina with her amnesia. But Lino revealed that her amnesia was a rare one, and said that she may even be hopeless. However, as she decided to speak with Anos in private, she began telling him that Lina was the love fairy Fran, a unique spirit that makes people fall in love with each other. But on the downside, she would wander around, seeking her own memories. And when she would finally discover she's actually a love fairy, her magic would cease to exist, and she would vanish at that instant. But as she let out those words, a tree crashed to the ground, and they discovered that a greater beast was still inside the forest. Immediately, Ray caught its mouth, but as he realized he couldn't draw his sword, Anos revealed that his sword could not be summoned in the past, so he asked Shin for his own sword, and hurled it at Ray. As he caught it, he sliced the beast apart, impressing Shin with his skill, but as he tried to return it, Shin told him to hang on to it. Ready to restore the forest, Lino cast a spell that revived the trees, but as she wondered how the beasts found their way inside in the first place, Ono suggested they may have snuck in through the magical boundary before it was created. Just then, the fairies arrived and began saying that the grandma spirit of the forest was about to vanish, so they all visited the great tree spirit. As the face appeared before them, it began saying that it was the spirit that bestows humans with the wisdom to survive great wars. And as magical leaves fell on the group, the tree told them that it was bestowing them with the ability to fight. But the leaf dissolved as it fell on Ono's, and the tree realized he was definitely powerful. When Onos wondered why the tree spirit was about to disappear, it revealed that humans do not believe in its wisdom ever since the end of the war. This had made her useless and was starting to erase her existence. At that moment, she vanished before their eyes, dispersing into tiny lights. With Lino pained by the loss, a teardrop fell on the ground, turning the grass into gold, and bringing forth a plant at that instant. Just then, a giant tree emerged from the ground, rising towards the sky, and they realized it was the tree spirit and Union. Inside the tree spirit class, Onos told Lino that they would be staying for a few days in the forest, hoping to learn spirit history, so they left them in the classroom. A few minutes later, as Onos decided to search the forest library, hoping to find the book with the ripped page, he thought it would be here somewhere, and told Rin that it would help in saving Lino. At the same time, Lino and Shin entered a secret gate, and arrived at an open field, but as she began telling him to be happy all the time, Union announced that a man was waiting to see her. So when they met him, they discovered he was Erdemade, the useless filthy blaze death king that was too moronic for his own good. When Shin wondered why he came, he began saying that he knows where the Heavenly Father God was, and that he was still determined to put his seed inside Lino, so that she would bear the child of God that would kill Onos 2 million years into the future. However, Shin had already heard enough of his bullshit, and sliced off his weapon. But Erdemade would not stay down, and began saying that the Demon King has no weakness, but still needs enemies to grow even stronger. He thought his destiny was to make Onos more powerful by creating new enemies, but Onos was sure that he already lost his fucking mind. As he began saying that his destiny was to remain Onos' greatest enemy, he thought the child of God would be a worse enemy than him. So he tried persuading them to hunt Galia before he puts his seed inside Lino, even promising to be their ally in the meantime. However, Lino was convinced that he was truly a nutcase, but Shin thought they could get rid of him by destroying Galia, so he agreed to follow him. Before long, they arrived at a lake, but Shin revealed that he couldn't sense Galia's presence anywhere in the forest. So Erdemade began saying that he must be summoned since he's a god, and drifted to the center of the lake. As Lino followed him, he summoned his blaze death hourglass, and the blood inside of it filled her body with pain. In an instant, he summoned large hourglasses to surround her, and Erdemade revealed that she would be dead once their sand runs out. Instantly, it shattered, and Shin destroyed the rest of them, but Erdemade began saying that they could only summon Galia if they tried to kill his future baby mama, seeing as he already marked her as a vessel. Immediately, he summoned more hourglasses from his hat, but Shin destroyed them in an instant, and stabbed him immediately. But just as he fell, he began to ascend, revealing that this was all part of his plan, as lights burst out of him. Lino realized it was the power of the gods, so Erdemade revealed that he lent his body to Galia after he was killed by Onos, and was certain that his soul would emerge as his body was dying. This was his backup plan in case he couldn't kill Lino, and he thought he was a crazy genius after all. At that moment, the light began draining his soul, and as he descended on the lake, they realized that Galia had taken over his body. However, Shin was unfazed, and pointed his sword at him, ready to end him at that instant. But Galia summoned divine beasts for protection. As he began to ascend, the beasts flew at Shin, but he annihilated them in an instant and appeared before him. Without hesitating, he summoned his god-killing sword, but Galia began telling him that the void in his heart could never be filled. Galia said that his source was created without the ability to love, but Lino blasted him instantly, hoping to silence his worthless mouth. Even so, Galia was unscathed, and began revealing that Shin was actually a magic sword who took the form of a demon, but was created by ancient demons to slay the gods. Since he wasn't even human, he couldn't possibly feel anything, and Galia said he would continue to feel empty forever. However, he offered to grant him the ability to feel emotion, and told him to protect the child of God in return. But Shin sliced off his head at once, saying he doesn't need to feel emotions, and that he was loyal to the Demon King forever. But as he disintegrated, he wondered if he reincarnated into another body. But Lino began saying that she would teach him how to love someone, At the sight of this, the girls thought the future was about to be changed, but Anos wondered how everything eventually went wrong. The following day in the forest, Anos decided to ask Lino if changing the rumors of a spirit that was already existing would turn her into a new spirit and spare her life. But she thought it was impossible, seeing as the spirit was only able to exist because of the initial rumor. Hearing her words, Anos realized that changing the rumors about Avos Delhevia would erase his existence. Later that day, Rei began sparring with Shin. But as he dodged his quick strikes, Shin discovered that Rei already figured out his sword skills, so he leapt back. However, he decided to reveal a new ability, and Rei discovered he disabled his magic power. But as he swung his blade, he managed to block it, and a powerful breeze blew from the collision. As Rei began to think he successfully blocked his attack, his shoulder gashed from a wound, so Shin told him that he already slashed him before their collision. After the sparring, the fairies told Anos that they spotted Erdemade heading towards the demon realm, so he flew to the spot with his favorite wife. As they began walking through the city, they noticed a kid that had been captured by the demon army, and Anos remembered that he was his freed prisoner who was next in line to the throne of the human realm. However, the demons were hungry for revenge, and the commander decided to drag him away for punishment. Inside the arena, the commander began saying that the kid would be punished for the wars with the humans, and started beating him up like a coward. Even as the kid begged for mercy, the commander's anger only grew worse, and he began stomping on him, and even squashed his hand. At the sight of this, Misha tried asking Anos to save him, but he told her that the past would revert once they returned to the future, and suggested she considers this a dream. However, as the commander decided to burn him, Anos finally had enough and caused the fire to extinguish. The commander wondered who he was, but Anos snapped his fingers, reviving the boy with a spell. When the commander wondered why he was trying to save the kid, saying that he was part of the human army that destroyed their realm, Anos told him to shut his disgusting mouth, and said that the war was already over. As the commander grew angry, he raised his hand to summon a dark flame, and hurled it towards him, following it up with more fires. However, as they discovered he was unscathed, Anos began saying that killing the boy would only continue the war. But the worthless commander thought he has nothing more to lose. Just as he prepared a worse flame, Anos caused it to vanish with just his eyes. At that moment, the commander realized he was the demon king of tyranny, and they decided to pay their respects to him. Deciding to pardon the men, Anos told them to join him 2,000 years in the future for a wonderful world without any wars. A few minutes later, as they watched the boy sleep, they discovered that the magic sword of destruction has been activated, and Anos thought it must have been summoned by someone in the past who predicted that he would return for it from the future. So he summoned it from the wall, and as he touched it, he knew he could change the past without provoking the spirit of time. At that moment, the boy woke up and recognized Anos immediately. As he revealed that his army was attacked by dragons while retreating, Anos realized that they must have been sent by an enemy. So he told Igarth that he returned from the future, and revealed that the only way to stop the past from killing him when he returns was to kill him and resurrect him at once. As Igarth wondered how he could help him in return, Anos told him to spread a new rumor about Avos Delhevia, and imprinted it into his memory. As the sword of destruction was about to vanish, he commanded Igarth to save the fake demon king, and caused him to disintegrate at that instant. As soon as the sword vanished, a writing appeared on the wall, and they realized it was a letter from here in the past. Anos tried revealing the entire letter with his magic, but realized it was under a spell. So when they returned that night, they discovered the letter was written for Anos, and he thought it may have been written by the goddess of creation, who was his god ally from the start of the war. As he wondered where she was, he thought she may be watching over him. That same night, as they visited a cemetery, Anos told Misha that his men were buried here during the war, who had fought with him to restore peace into the world. He was pained by their deaths, but revealed that they inspired him to grow stronger and become the demon king of tyranny. He thought their sacrifice was not a waste, seeing as the wars were finally over. However, Misha thought the sight was too depressing, and cast a white flower spell, transforming it into a beautiful garden. As they eventually found Erdemade, they discovered he was in a meeting with Zeke, and was revealing his plans to take over Galia's divine powers, and to utilize Avos Delhevia's rumors to his own advantage. So as they began flying towards the forest, Anos realized that the rumors about Avos Delhevia was only just starting. 2 million years ago, Kanon asked Shin to play his right-hand man while he pretends to be the fake demon king, saying that it was the only way to save Anos when he reincarnates. He revealed that the humans were already creating a plan to kill him, and thought this was the only way to save him and stop any future wars. However, Shin thought his excuse was bullshit and almost eliminated him, angered by the sight of his worthless face. He told him that he would stay faithful to Ano's and would reincarnate himself into the future to be reunited with him. But just as he left, Lino thought she was in love with him and ran towards him. As she began saying that he was the love of her life and her Discord daddy, Shin told her that he was ready to reincarnate himself, having slain all the divine beasts in the forest, and thought Galia was good as dead. However, as he offered to grant her final wish before his demise, she remembered her childhood dream and asked him to marry her. So as he agreed, they decided to have a wedding, and a union announced that Shin was now the Spirit King. A few weeks later, as Shin discovered that Lino had grown sick, and Union revealed that she was pregnant, and that the child was a combination of demon's magic and spirit magic. She thought their night of plot development had created the baby, but was afraid that it would vanish after it was born since there was no rumors to keep it alive. However, Shin decided to name the baby Misa, so Lino gave him a page of the fairy book, saying it was a spirit spell, and asked that they reunite in the future when he reincarnates. However, when he left, Lino revealed that she intends to make their baby the mother of all spirits, hoping to sacrifice her own life. But at that moment, Erdemade appeared before her eyes, just as Shin was about to reincarnate himself. As the fairies appeared to warn him, saying that she was in danger, Shin realized that Galia must have returned. At the same time, Erdemade began saying that Lino's baby was the child of God, and that Shin was merely used as a vessel. When Lino thought it was impossible, he revealed a page from the fairy book, saying that the baby's source was created with rumors of the fake Demon King, and that it was her destiny to slay Anos once she was older. Immediately, he cast a spell on her and summoned the baby outside, but Lino managed to summon new spirits, and asked that they carry the baby into the future. So the spirits summoned a basket for the baby, but Shin stabbed Erdemade before he knew it, dispelling him at once. However, Lino had grown weak and told him that the baby was the child of God. Right then, it began to ascend towards a portal, and Lino told Shin to eliminate her if she becomes an enemy. However, Shin was bent on protecting the baby instead, and vowed to spread rumors that Avos Delhevia was the true king, realizing it was the only way to keep the baby alive. This was his final way to honor her memory, and he thought that saving the baby was the most important thing in the world. As her soul left her body, the baby vanished, and the field grew into a beautiful garden. With Lino buried, he stabbed his sword into the spot, marking it as her grave, but was sad that he would never see her again. Just then, the time spell shattered, and Anos and the group discovered they were back to the real world. But at that moment, Anos realized he had figured out the solution. As they began running through the passage, hoping to find the magic sword of destruction, a voice announced that a student would be killed every hour until Anos reveals himself. However, Anos thought it was a mere distraction, and cast a magical cloak on the twins as they offered to rescue the students. Meanwhile, in the castle, as Anos appeared before their teacher, the commander and her army appeared, thinking they were actually hiding, and ordered her men to launch a blast. But as Ray slashed the flame, he broke her sword and stabbed her at once, killing her at that instant. Just then, Anos appeared before the men, and bound them instantly before turning them to stone. A few minutes later, as he eventually found Avos Delhevia, she revealed her face, and wondered how he managed to find her. However, Anos was in no mood for her bullshit, and as Ray appeared at that moment, she realized that he sent his clones to the other room. Even so, she thought she has the upper hand, and revealed that Igarith has been captured, and would soon be executed, but Anos thought she was trying to buy herself enough time to steal the magic sword of destruction. As he prepared to unleash his powers, she ordered for Igarith's execution. At the arena, Misha and Sasha began wondering how they would divert everyone's attention to rescue Igarith. But as the commander launched Geo Graze towards the sky, he dispelled it around the arena, burning Melhaze instead and freeing Igarith's chains. Shocked by the sight, Melhaze began wondering if he lost his mind, but Davidra revealed that he was a supporter of the true Demon King. However, Melhaze thought he deserves to be executed for his betrayal, and commanded Geos to eliminate all the students. In an instant, Geos appeared before them, ready to slay them all, but another student blasted him with Geo Graze, and followed up with more blasts. At the same time, the other students started launching Geo Graze, blasting all the emperors. As Melhaze flew towards the sky, Davidra followed him with Geo Graze, but he cancelled his attack. So Igarith appeared for support, and as Davidra gave him a sword, he realized that he was the same commander that beat him up 2 million years in the past. Determined to win the battle, they charged at the same time. But as Melhaze cancelled the Geo Graze again, Igarith broke his shield. At that moment, Misha unleashed her full powers and began turning the emperors into ice caps. When the emperors were all taken care of, Anos told Avos that she already lost her advantage, and Rei nearly sliced her face. Just then, she realized they had already gone into the past, but Anos was ready to annihilate her. As she began saying she's already seen the future, Rei tried to end her, but she cast lightning before her. Immediately, Anos unleashed darkness on her shield and teleported into the spirit of vanishment. As he noticed the Spirit King, he revealed his face, and Anos realized he was truly Shin. Just then, he drew the Sword of Severance, saying that he's betrayed his trust, so Shin released all his magic into the sword. As he was ready to strike, a dark aura surrounded him, so he slashed his sword and caused a powerful eruption. However, when the smoke cleared, Anos only managed to cut, and he shattered the sword instantly. Unwilling to kill him, he began telling him to stay alive for Misa, and said that she needs him as her father when her source is separated from Avos Delhevia. As Shin thought his words made sense, he finally agreed to stay alive. At the same time, realized he should have never created the rumors in the first place. As she burned him with Dejeged, Rei noticed her glowing necklace and thought Misa was fighting to free herself. However, Avos thought her spirit has been totally suppressed and told him to give up already, but Ilya appeared before his eyes, saying that the entire battle was according to the divine word. He told Rei that he has already destroyed all his clones, and that it was time for him to meet his maker. So with Avos ready to end his existence, she would battle. But Anos told her that she was only worthy to warm his bed. Right then, Rei nearly slashed her, but Anos had already turned his attention to Galia. As he burst out of the wall, he began saying that he was invincible, and that he has control over the world. To reveal the power of a god, he started glowing with a golden aura and unleashed his wings, engraving spells on the walls. As he began saying that he was the god of this world, Anos told him that he was no match for him, and offered Shin as his opponent instead. So Shin summoned his ancient sword, ready to avenge Lino's death, but Galia said he's unkillable. As he unleashed a golden blast, Shin was unscathed and stabbed him in an instant, but Galia wouldn't die. But as Shin tried to attack him, the fire rose higher, and he pulled a divine sword out of the flame. At once, he struck his armor, and Shin discovered that Lino's spirit spell had fallen off. As he tried to retrieve it, Galia stabbed his hand, wondering why he was trying to hold on to the past. At once, fire consumed him, and Galia thought he was trapped, but he vanished instantly, and he discovered that Lino has taken over Lina's body. At that moment, she transformed her body, and began saying that Shin has developed feelings, and that their baby was not a divine miracle, deserved to be punished, and unleashed hellfire on them. Just then, more spirits appeared, and one of them tried to quench it with a water dragon, and he made the fire burn even worse, eventually destroying the fairies. At that moment, the great tree spirit emerged from the ground, and finally quenched the flames. As Lino wondered how she managed to return, it revealed that it borrowed a spirit's body. Lino noticed a new magical symbol. She decided to summon the new magical powers and restored Shin's armor. Just then, one of the spirits filled his swords with water magic, and he slashed across in a flash, destroying Galia's wings. He threw his sword, he managed to destroy the clones, and jumped back just in time. So he launched a dozen swords at him, but Shin vanished to the roof and finally stabbed his heart. As Galia began saying he was immortal, Shin awakened the god Slasher, and it split his source at once. Without hesitating, he split it again, and continued splitting it until it broke to pieces. Right then, he summoned a new sword. At the same time, Rei tried to slay Avos, but she told him that his sword was weaker than a dull knife. As he managed to slash her dark mist, she stabbed his heart and destroyed another source. But he said he could never give up on Misa. As she prepared to destroy his final source, Rei summoned the power of the spirit god sword and unleashed Heaven's Fang on her, destroying her shield and successfully separating her from Misa. Happy to see his lover returned, Rei told Avos that she wouldn't survive for long, but she revealed that even Misa would vanish along with her. However, Misa thought her end was worth it, and screamed at her to go straight to hell. Disappointed by this outcome, Avos unleashed Geograze on her, but Rei slashed it apart, along with her horrendous face. At that moment, the spell became unstable, but Avos revived before their eyes, revealing she already found the Sword of Destruction. But a dark energy destroyed it. Just then, the spell shattered, and Anos appeared before her, and told him that the sword was enough to destroy him. At the same time, they began unleashing their powers, so Anos caused the others to vanish as the roof collapsed. Immediately, they launched Geograze and blew up the entire castle. As Avos cast Jurast, Anos dispelled it, and as she tried to capture him with flaming chains, he destroyed them with Eye Gunias. In an instant, he stopped her attack, and even caught the Sword of Destruction. But as she unleashed the dark curse on him, the ground turned into a dark lava and began sucking him inside until he vanished. However, he stabbed her source before she even knew it, and as she wondered how he managed to survive, he told her that she could never defeat him in a million years, and destroyed her source at that instant. However, she wouldn't surrender and released a piece of stone monument towards the sky. As it shattered, Galia appeared before them and said it was time to destroy the world. Right then, Avos ended her own existence, and as the ground began to tremble, an ancient castle emerged from the ground. Galia revealed that he was finally bringing the world to an end, and decided to summon the goddess of destruction, and the ancient sword began to dissolve. As the darkness appeared over the moon, it spread over the world, casting dark shadows from the sky and dispelling Avos' body. Just then, the world transformed into an ugly shade of black and white, and as Anos appeared before Galia, he told him that he would never allow the world to be destroyed. When Galia wondered how he was alive, Anos told him that he was the true god, and vowed to destroy his existence forever. However, Galia thought he would destroy him first, and charged at him, but Anos stabbed his source, and decided to make a contract with Erdemade, offering him Galia's powers in exchange for his loyalty. This was Erdemade's desire for 2 million years, and as he agreed to serve him, they signed the Zect Pact, so Anos began transferring all his powers, and separated their sources, turning Galia into an ugly insect. Just then, Erdemade appeared, glad to have regained control over his body. As he began saying that Anos was his new hero, he destroyed the insect immediately. At that moment, the ancient city descended into the ground, and the sky was restored. With the battle finally over, Misa noticed her mother, and she told her that she was happy to finally meet her. Just then, she began to fade, as her magic had run out, but the sight made Misa very sad. And as she began crying for her mother to return, Anos appeared before her eyes and vowed to restore her. However, he thought she needed saving first, as her source was nearly dissipating. As he cast a resurrection spell, Ray slashed her immediately, so he began telling them that he would turn her into a new spirit, and create a new tradition for her as a reincarnated pure spirit. So he revealed that the rumor was being carried from the past already, and that since she would become a stand-alone spirit, Lino could be revived. At that moment, magical lights appeared before them and restored Lino to life. Before long, Misa also appeared and was happy to be reunited with her mother. The following day, as Anos announced to the entire city that peace has been restored to the realms, he promised to protect them from every threat. And as his companions stabbed the floor at the same time, he vowed to kill every new enemy that arrives in the city. A few hours later, when the twins wondered why they were spared by the goddess of destruction, Anos realized that they should have all been killed, but wondered how they were spared. After summoning his sword, he said that he was the only possible person who could have activated Venusner before reincarnating, but wondered why that part of his memories had been deleted, and realized that something was extremely off.